Welcome to the Deep Dive. This is where we take a whole stack of sources. We're talking trade reports, journals, cultural critiques, and we boil it all down for you.
And today, our mission is to get into the Made in Italy identity.
Yeah, and we're going way beyond just, tourism and fashion.
Oh, absolutely. We're leaving the postcard version behind.
Yeah.
What our deep dive shows is this incredible balancing act.
A balancing act between what?
Between centuries of tradition, that cultural excellence you can't deny, and the absolute cutting edge of tech. We're talking AI in design, Italian hardware on the moon.
And blockchain in the food chain. It's a fascinating split. The sources show this incredibly resilient, sophisticated industrial base.
But there's always a but.
Right. They also flag some big structural problems, vulnerabilities, like relying too much on certain export markets. And this is a big one, that economic gap between the regions.
Okay, so let's unpack this. If there's one thing that just stands out immediately, it's that Italy doesn't just export goods.
No, it exports its identity.
Exactly. Its core cultural identity, which is all about precision and quality. And you see that precision in the most fundamental places. I mean, literally. Let's start with bread.
It's the perfect place to start. The story of the Best Bread in Italy award this year. It really caught our attention.
Because the winner wasn't some famous, 100-year-old bakery in Rome.
Not at all. It was a place called Frangipane, a small bakery in Milazzo, Sicily.
And this was not an easy win. This award comes from a major food publication. They reviewed 614 bakeries across the country.
Wow.
Yeah, and only 65 of them got the top rating, the Trapani, or 3 loaves. It's a huge deal.
So out of all those, this small Sicilian place wins. And they win with one specific creation, the monumental pane cunzato.
Seasoned bread.
Right. And monumental is absolutely the right word for it. This is not your daily sandwich loaf.
Not even close. Picture this huge, dramatic loaf. It's like 4 or 5 kilograms.
That's massive.
It is. With this deep, dark, almost caramelized crust. And the flavor is just... It's incredible. You get this savory depth from sun-dried tomatoes and then these vegetal notes from noci alla bellice olives.
So it's a whole meal in a loaf of bread.
Pretty much. But the real insight here, the thing that tells you about Italian craftsmanship, is the story of the bakers, Antonio and Michela.
Their backgrounds are amazing. Antonio was a railroad worker who got obsessed with sourdough.
And Michela was a political science administrator. They just quit. They quit their lives to chase this passion.
And they named their bakery Frangipane Break Bread to symbolize that change. It shows you that made in Italy is so often a choice, a deep personal commitment.
It's not just something you inherit. And that commitment, that personal drive, it translates into some serious economic muscle.
You mean globally?
Globally.
Yeah.
Italy's agri-food sector generates the highest added value in the entire EU. We're talking 42.4 billion.
And what's really remarkable is how they do it. They pull that off while only getting about 11% of the EU's agricultural subsidies.
Which just speaks volumes about their efficiency and the quality of the product itself.
And the world wants it.
Oh, the demand is relentless. Exports hit 70.5 billion in 2023. That's a 7.5% jump. They're also leaders in organic farming. Almost 20% of their farmland is certified organic. Quality and sustainability are supposed to be their big selling point.
Supposed to be. This is where we hit the authenticity paradox.
Right. The dark side of all that prestige. Extra virgin olive oil. A symbol of Italian cuisine.
It's also the most frequently counterfeited Italian food in the world.
And you have to ask why. It really just comes down to a simple supply and demand problem. Italy's total demand for its own people and for its export business is over 800,000 tons a year.
But their own production can't keep up.
It can't even come close.
So how big is that gap, really?
It's massive. They have a deficit of somewhere between, say, 590,000 and 660,000 tons.
Wow.
And that gap has to be filled with imports, which creates this huge, valuable target for fraud.
So the fraud isn't just a few bad apples, it's systemic.
Totally. It's everything from mixing in lower quality oils to just straight up disguising foreign oil as Italian. Sometimes they even use deodorized oils to hide defects.
So for you, the person buying it, you're often paying this huge premium for a product that is just fundamentally fake.
And that's a massive economic threat. It erodes trust, which is where technology is now stepping in to protect tradition. We're seeing more and more pilot programs using blockchain for traceability.
But do the sources say people actually care enough to, pay for that solution?
They do. The research is pretty clear on this. Younger consumers especially, who are more tech-savvy, they are absolutely willing to pay more for that verifiable proof of origin that blockchain provides. It's a way to restore confidence.
And beyond just the product, the entire food service industry is enormous.
It's valued at $251 billion globally. That's nearly a fifth of the whole full-service restaurant world.
But the growth isn't coming from the traditional places.
No, the growth is an adaptation. It's the shift to quick-service models, scalable chains. Their market share has jumped from 7% to 10%. They're figuring out how to deliver that speed the world wants without killing the flavor.
It's innovation built on integrity. And speaking of integrity, we have to talk about cheese.
The Mondial du Fromage.
World Cheese Competition. Italy walked away with 56 medals, 11 of them gold.
And this just reinforces that idea that real innovation comes from a deep, deep understanding of tradition. We're not just seeing the classics win.
No, we're seeing them push the boundaries, like a 24-month aged pecorino or, get this, an experimental saffron and juniper pecorino from Tuscany.
And that amazing buffalo milk burrata with basil. They're using centuries of knowledge to make something totally new.
That's the common thread, isn't it? That intense focus on perfection, whether it's in a loaf of bread or a complex cheese. And that same drive is what lets them build the future.
Exactly. So let's go from bakeries and dairy farms to outer space.
Because when you understand the mindset it takes to perfect a 5-kilo loaf of bread,
You understand the mindset that drives their advanced engineering.
and this is where it gets really, really interesting. Italy is playing a leading role in NASA's Artemis program.
A huge role. The Italian Space Agency and Thales Alenia Space are building the lunar surface multipurpose module. It's basically a moon outpost.
So this is a major
A
responsibility.
huge one. This module has to be a durable habitat. It needs to support astronauts for up to 30 days at a time. It's their base camp for exploring the moon.
And it builds on their legacy, right? They've done this before.
They have. They helped build parts of the International Space Station and the new Lunar Gateway. So Italy isn't just a participant here. They're a key architect in getting humanity back to the moon.
And the high-tech engineering isn't only looking up. We need to look down to the Atacama Desert in Chile.
To the Extremely Large Telescope, or ELT, the heart of that machine is the M4 Adaptive Mirror, an Italian engineering triumph.
And when you say precision craftsmanship, this is what you mean.
This is the definition of it. This mirror is enormous, 2.5 meters across, but it's incredibly thin, less than 2 millimeters thick.
So what makes an adaptive mirror so special?
Its job is to cancel out atmospheric distortion. You know, the twinkle we see from stars, which ruins images from ground-based telescopes.
Okay, so how does it do that?
It constantly reshapes itself, and is controlled by over 5,000 contactless actuators.
5,000.
Yeah, moving the mirror thousands of times a second. That level of mechanical and optical sync, that's Italian high-tech precision, perfected by a company called Microgate in Bolzano.
It's an incredible connection. The same intense focus it takes to perfect the texture of bread is what allows them to build a mirror that can see across the universe.
It absolutely is. And while we're talking about the future, we have to ground this in their engineering heritage.
Something that made modern life accessible.
Exactly. The Fiat 600. The year 2025 is its 70th anniversary.
It came out in 1955. It was a product of that post-war economic miracle. The goal was an affordable, modern car for the family.
And it basically invented the whole idea of the small city car. Its engineering was just genius in its simplicity.
Independent suspension, a compact rear engine to maximize space.
And the cost. It launched at 590,000 lire, at a time when a factory worker made maybe 50,000 lire a month. That price point made car ownership possible for millions.
A truly successful design has longevity. The sources point out that its original engine design stayed in production in different cars all the way until 1998.
That's incredible. It's efficiency, engineering, and cultural impact all in one package. Which brings us to the structure that supports all this. How does all this precision translate into economic power?
Well, the numbers are big. Italian design leads Europe in revenue, almost a 20% share. And it's the top employer in the sector, ahead of Germany and France.
So design isn't just a nice-to-have, it's a core economic engine.
Deeply integrated into everything from furniture to mechanical engineering, but the sources also highlight a major weakness.
A structural problem that could really challenge their ability to scale up.
You mean the fragmentation?
Exactly. They lead in revenue, but their growth is slowing down, 4.6% versus the EU average of 5.5%.
And the companies are tiny.
So small. The average Italian design firm has just 1.5 employees. In Spain, it's 2.4. So the market is super fragmented, which raises the question of how they can possibly compete globally without some serious consolidation.
And all of this is part of what the sources call the economy of beauty. It sounds nice, but what does it actually mean?
It's the whole value chain you get when you integrate cultural tourism, sustainability, and design-driven industries. It accounts for an incredible 29% of Italy's GDP.
Wow, almost a third.
Yeah, it's an economic model built around maximizing aesthetic and cultural value.
Which makes adopting new technology like AI a very delicate process.
It is. The sources say 80% of their design professionals are already using AI tools, so they're adopting it fast.
But it's about the mindset.
It's all about the mindset. They see AI as support for creativity, not a replacement. The benefits are clear. 72% say it speeds up projects. But the real challenge is cultural. How do you weave AI into a legacy of artisanal genius without losing what makes it special?
And that challenge, authenticity versus scale, really comes into focus when you look at their export map. It's changing.
It really is. Europe's share of Italian goods is actually shrinking a bit, down from about 70% to 67%.
And the U.S. is picking up the slack. It's now their biggest non-European market at over 11% of exports.
Which sounds great, but it creates a huge new vulnerability.
Why is relying on the U.S. so risky?
Geopolitics, trade wars. There's a constant threat of the U.S. slapping, say, a 15% tariff on European luxury and food products.
And that would hit Italy's key sectors hard.
It would hit them right where it hurts. The agri-food sector, high-end design. So much of that relies on the American consumer.
We're also seeing big shifts in what Italy is exporting. Pharmaceuticals have just exploded.
Oh, it's a huge jump from 3.5% of total exports up to 8%.
But the backbone is still machinery.
Always. Mechanical goods are still the biggest single sector, over 16%. But we're also seeing these fascinating new growth areas that mix culture and mechanics.
Like what?
Machines for making gelato and high-end professional coffee machines. They're not just exporting coffee, they're exporting the know-how to make it perfectly.
But this success isn't spread out evenly across the country, is it? The data shows the regional divide is getting worse.
That's the core structural challenge they have to face. Central Italy, Tuscany, Lazio, they're seeing strong double-digit growth.
Driven by what?
Mostly by pharmaceuticals and fashion. They're set up for those high-value goods.
But in the south and the islands, Sicily, Sardinia, Campania, it's the opposite story. They're seeing sharp drops.
Yeah, they're getting weighed down by struggling traditional manufacturing and critically lower demand for energy products, which are big parts of their regional economies. It's a fundamental gap in their industrial strength.
And they seem to be trying to use sports to help bridge that gap, to manage their global image.
They are. Sports diplomacy. The industry itself is worth almost $25 billion. It's a huge global ambassador.
Italy is already a top 5 exporter of sports products.
Second in Europe. And they're being very strategic, leaning into high-end niches like winter sports gear, where they have an 11% global share.
And they have a massive platform coming up.
A huge one. They were using the 2026 Winter Olympics in Milan Cortina, the Med Games in Toronto, and the 2027 America's Cup as a coordinated strategy.
Ambassadors of sport diplomacy.
Exactly. The idea is to use these events to project that image of excellence and maybe drive some investment where it's needed most.
So if we tie this all together,
And we connect it to the bigger picture. Italy's success really hinges on solving this scaling problem. They have the deep, singular excellence. You see it in that loaf of bread. You see it in that telescope mirror.
but the challenge is translating that.
Right. Translating that focused brilliance into scalable, consolidated global business models. Models that can compete with economies that are growing faster and consolidating quicker.
So what does all this mean for you, for the learner? This deep dive shows Italy as a land of, well, beautiful contradictions. It leads Europe in design, but faces a slowdown. It's a leader in food, but has to fight mass counterfeiting.
The brilliance is undeniable, but it's not spread out evenly.
And the sources show that their export success is tilting more and more toward pharma and machinery, while traditional sectors are vulnerable. We've seen the South is struggling, while the North and Center are booming.
Which leaves us with a final provocative thought. How effectively can Italy actually use this massive global spotlight from the Olympics and the America's Cup? Can they use it to bridge that economic gap and pull desperately needed investment and modernization into those struggling southern regions? That's the question that will define their next decade.